All right, good evening, everybody. Apologies for the slight delay. We're all running here on two wheels today. So, good evening. We are called to order. This is the pre-agenda meeting for the May Spencer Board of Aldermen. It is 5:35, and this is May the 8th. And we have all of our board members except Mr. Howe present this evening. He is caught up at a funeral this evening, so our thoughts are with him this evening. We will begin with an invocation and pledge of allegiance. So we'll start with the invocation, if you will. Bow your heads. Father God, we thank you for this evening. We thank you for glorious weather and the season of spring and all the new beginnings that it brings. We thank you for the progress that we're seeing here in the town of Spencer. And we thank you for being able to be here this evening together as a group, staff, and board members in our community as we make decisions and work to set our agenda for next Tuesday's meeting and continue to do your work in the community and push our community forward and continue to make improvements. Be with us in all that we do. Give us wisdom and discernment and guidance this evening. In your name we pray. Amen. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so we have a couple items this evening. In addition to reviewing our upcoming agenda for the Tuesday regular meeting of the board, we have several public hearings this evening, and the first two are going to be related to property along Willow Creek Drive, and we'll turn it over to Mr. Blunt to provide us with the presentation.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. I ran this presentation by you at your last meeting, but we've had some new information hot off the presses, so you'll see a few new slides as we present this. The owner, Ms. Myra Wilson, is here tonight, and her engineer was going to be here. He may show up at any moment. Any questions you might have of them. So let me walk you through that presentation again. I'll do it fairly quickly since there's not a large crowd here to see it tonight. This is the property that is being considered for annexation. It actually is addressed as a Long Ferry Road address because of that small part that actually faces Long Ferry. The majority of the property is on Willow Creek and will be readdressed to the Willow Creek address. We've already discussed that with Rowan County. Just to remind you of the other projects that are going on in that area that you have seen in the past. The truck stop's under construction now. The other projects have gone through planning and a spec. As of this past week, received 3 new zoning permits for new buildings they're putting on their property, so they're growing rapidly. This is closing in a little closer so you can see what the actual property looks like. A little over 20 acres of property, a little less than 1 acre is that little isolated parcel that faces Longs Ferry Road. And this pulls you down close enough so that you can see there is one house on Willow Creek to the west. The land to the north and the east is currently undeveloped, and to the south is commercial development and the Duke Power substation. The project as presented to us is 20.25 acres to have a 30,000 square foot plus 3-story building built on it. The first store, according to the owner's plan, is to have retail on the first floor and offices on the second and third floor for her business. The site is large enough for additional growth. Based on her business plan, the initial investment would be about $12 million. This was a timeline based on their business plan starting in February when the property was purchased. The purchase has been completed through the various stages with occupancy taking place in October of 2026. This was my guess at how it would lay out, and basically this slide was just to confirm to you that it's a lot bigger lot than was needed to build this one building. Today we got a site plan, and although I guessed wrong as to the location of the building, I was correct in that about half the property will be undeveloped and developed in the future as an out parcel. And of course, this particular site plan doesn't show that little 1-acre piece that faces Long Ferry Road that could be also developed as an out parcel. I also showed you this slide of a 3-story building that used to be right here on the corner in Spencer, and how exciting it was to see another 3-story building being built. Some of you asked if it was going to look like this. I didn't really know. But that's what it's going to look like. This is the new artist rendering of what the building will look like. This is the front elevation of the building, a lot of glass, fairly modern looking building, but nice looking building. I didn't get a chance to ask the owner if that's her penthouse on the roof, but that's probably utility space. But you never know. Might be her penthouse apartment. This is the explanation of why we're doing a rezoning. That small sliver to the east is actually not in our ETJ. It's in Rowan County's zoning jurisdiction. It's currently zoned RA under their zoning classifications. As a part of the statute for annexations, once we annex, we are required to rezone the property that was not in our ETJ, and we are suggesting rezoning that to C85 like the rest of the parcel is now. This was your timeline, gets us to tonight having a public hearing on the annexation and the rezoning. We're also going to use this for our neighborhood meeting. We sent out letters to all of the surrounding property owners to alert them to that. And I think we've got some here tonight to speak. And then at your discretion, you would be asked to vote one way or the other on this at your next meeting. And I think that's all I have on that. As I said, the owner is here. She signed up to speak to you. You've got some other people signed up also, but I'll take any questions.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Blunt. Board, any questions at this point?
So you've actually contacted the house that's being right in front of this development?
I contacted the property owners. I don't know if that's the actual resident. I think that's probably a rental property.
Right. It used to be a several houses right there at one time. I just want to make sure.
Okay. All right.
We notified them by letter, all the adjacent property owners. We posted the property with a sign. We advertised it twice.
Yeah.
I had 2 phone calls, so I know that people are aware of it. So we've done everything that's required statutorily.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Blunt. All right. Board, we will now move to open these public hearings. We actually have 2 related to this. The first will be specifically related to the annexation of the parcel. The second will be the rezoning. And I believe those that are speaking are basically speaking for both issues. So as a formality, we will open the first, close it, then we can open it again. If they wish to speak again, they can for the second public hearing. If not, we can close that public hearing as well. So with that, we'll open the first public hearing to annex parcel 051-052, located along Willow Creek Drive and addressed as 1230 Long Ferry Road. And so with that, the hearing is officially open, and I'll invite Ms. Myra Wilson forward, as she is first on the list to speak. I'll remind those speaking that comments are limited to 3 minutes. We do have a timer that will be up on the screens. And with that, if you will, come forward, announce your name and address for the record, please.
Okay. My name is Myra Wilson, and the address, which the 1230 Long Ferry is the one you are referring to. That is off of Willow Creek Road here in Salisbury.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So you want me to finish? Okay. Okay. So my name is Myra Wilson, like I stated before. I'm sorry, just a little bit nervous. Complete Well Care Source, LLC. We're right off of Clumac Road. I am a behavioral health facility. We've been open for about 5 years, and we all over North Carolina. But one of the properties that I just recently brought here in Salisbury, which is the Long Ferry, we wanted to put up a medical facility there, and that's just for operational purpose, not for operating as far as clients, but as far as HR training, for that matter, those type, because we don't have the space where we are. So I wanted to just bring something here to Salisbury for just to open it up and so we can better the community. That's the reason why I wanted to do it. I got so many goals and so many dreams, but just one thing, just helping the people that we are surrounded by daily.
Very good. Well, thank you. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
All right. Next on the list is Justina Miller. I'll let you forward. Hello. You will state your name and address for the record.
Justina Renee Miller, and I'm at 1370 Long Ferry Road. So I'm at the parcel directly next door to it.
Okay, thank you.
So I guess I just have some concerns. That is farmland use. That is forestry. That is a tree farm that goes on right next door to it. It is about 35.28 acres right behind it, right next door to it. And we did just recently with the tree farm get it redone, so it looks flat right now, but that used to be woods. That used to be hunting back there, forestry back there. We also have a tree farm right on the corner. I have right where the Duke Energy easement is, the tree farm, it goes right through there. That's also farmland use. That is still farmed. There is still crops that grow there. We do get it farmed. My concern is if you annex this in and you allow this to happen, the farms, like, getting rid of all of the tree farms, getting rid of the agricultural that we want to keep in this county that we want to keep that. I know we want the business to come in, but I do love Rowan County because of the farmland use, and we have all those incentives for people to keep it in that, and that's a big part of it. I did see where the annexing does take, I'm not sure if you're just annexing that one parcel, the 051052, but on the GIS maps, it does look like you're proposing to kind of cut over a little bit into the 051046. So that would be a concern because then you'd be annexing part of that parcel and raising the tax rate about 49% on that parcel there. I'm not sure if that's right or not. I went by the GIS mapping that you have. So that's another concern. If they're paying the city of Spencer taxes versus the Miller Ferry Road taxes, that's going to affect us. And what else is going to happen? Are you going to start annexing more of that land that's up there? You already did a part up top. So all those other houses that are up there, their rates are going to go up about 49% with this annexing going through. So I really hope you guys consider that when you do the annexing, if you approve it or not, just to keep Rowan County more farmland use and agriculture, which we love. Not to mention also the traffic there. We have the Chewy factory right across the street. They're also doing that other building right up on top. We're getting the gas station right down the road with the Starbucks and the McDonald's and all that. It's going to be crazy right there. And there's no traffic light, there's nothing, there's accidents all the time, and the school buses go up and down all the time. So that's all.
All right.
Thank you all. Thank
you very much.
All right. I do want to clarify one thing, just so that our public knows that this annexation, because North Carolina only allows us to voluntarily annex, that means we can't go in and annex what we want to annex. Somebody that owns the property has to actually come to us and request to be annexed. So this annexation is specifically for that 051, 052 property. And so that's all it would apply to. The only way that folks can come and be annexed in is if they come as individual property owners and ask us to do that. So I want to be very clear about that. We've also executed a growth boundary agreement with, or we haven't done it with, have we actually executed it with East Spencer yet?
No, that'll
We've
come.
agreed in principle to it, and that actually will limit our ability to annex much farther than where we're talking about now. It would limit us. We wouldn't be able to annex much beyond where we are currently talking about right now. So as far as Spencer is concerned, we're very limited in the amount that we can actually grow, especially down Long Ferry. So just want to make sure that that's clear to everybody. Okay. We will move now to our.
Mr. Mayor,
yes.
We've had some minutes come in.
Okay. We did. Did we have the engineer come in?
Yes, Crutchfield is here if you have any technical questions.
Okay, all right. Board, any questions for the engineer this evening? I guess the one thing that I would ask is, since we have heard a few concerns about agricultural area nearby, as far as things like stormwater management on site, if there's any input on that.
If we need to get technical, I'll get Mr. Crutchfield up here to do that for you. There is on their site plan a storm water detention pond at the lower end of the property, on the north end of the property. The paved parking lot will have a collection system that will divert the water to that collection pond.
And do we have any idea, as far as, I see a number of parking spots, potential traffic impact, number of vehicles we expect per day at that facility?
I will let them answer that if they have that detailed answer at this point. I will say that DOT was going to require turn signals for the industrial project farther north.
Right.
The project's still on hold. So if it ever goes ahead,
Right.
Good evening. I'm Brian Crutchfield with Timmons Group, civil engineer representing the applicant on this one. We haven't run a traffic impact analysis on this site yet. Hasn't been requested or required by DOT yet. We can certainly provide those numbers, but we think this will be very similar to a typical medical office building, where you'll have some peak hour trips in the morning and in the evenings as staff is arriving and leaving, but it'll be kind of more of a constant flow of traffic in and out throughout the site. So it's not a huge glut in the morning and a huge glut in the afternoon. It's more spaced out, spread out throughout the day.
All right. And I know, at this point, tenants and things like that haven't been selected, but do we have an idea of occupancy for the building overall?
For number of employees?
Yeah.
Oh, for my, we have a lot of employees, but most of them work in the community. But the ones that we have now, that's staff is about 20. So we look at the role and county, look at the role all over the place. Or then some in to training and then back out.
Or any other questions?
Any large trucks or anything like that go into the facility?
Not expected, other than typical supply deliveries and refuse collection, but don't expect any daily tractor trailer deliveries or anything like that.
Any future plans on widening Willow Creek Road?
Not at this time. We still have to go through the driveway permit and encroachment process with DOT, and we'll get some feedback from them as far as improvements that would be required, but we really haven't considered any specific improvements at this point.
And there's addition, the big one is
Big one's right down
the
the road.
million square
And that's what we're concerned about, because that's going to be those two little sharp turns right there. Like I said, I'm concerned about that and the traffic on that little road.
Sure.
And that little road is not really paved that good, since it's one of those small little.
And DOT will dictate what they want to see there, and it may not be until that large million square foot development actually takes place that they would require something different, depending on the traffic and vehicle types.
Been any updates on Red Rock development? We've heard anything like
On Red Rock,
Mm-hmm.
my understanding is it is moving forward. Property sold a month or so ago. So my understanding it is moving forward. And that, to that end, I know there was the comment about traffic on Long Ferry, and there has been a study done that's indicated what's going to have to be done to Long Ferry. Unfortunately, the DOT is not usually proactive with those type of projects. They wait until the development comes and justifies the need for it, and then they look at making those improvements. But they are very aware. I know I talked with them when I was in Raleigh 2 months ago. They're aware of Long Ferry and the development that is happening, and they're aware of the needs down the road that are going to be required to widen that. Other questions? Or okay.
Do you think your building will have any impact on the tree farm that Ms. Miller mentioned?
I don't. I mean, the limits of construction for this, we anticipate will be only on this parcel itself, and probably, as you can see with the scale of that, not even taking up the entire parcel. We are, reserving the ability to potentially have some co-locators, some other suppliers or users on that site, but we don't anticipate it's going to get built out 100% that would negatively impact. We think we'd be able to maintain some buffers around the site for some of the trees.
And our development standards
Have to
have
buffers.
provisions
Right.
for those buffers.
So basically, you're not gonna clear all that space out as far as it goes.
We definitely won't grade it all to start. We haven't really decided if they're gonna timber it all day one or if they're just gonna clear what's needed for the initial site. But I don't expect full grading padded out day one with this project.
Let me jump in and remind you that this property, for the most part, almost all of it is zone C85. So this use would be acceptable on this lot, whether we annexed it or rezoned a little sliver to the right. It's currently zone C85. So this use would be allowed whether you took action on it or not.
All right. Board, is there a motion to close the first public hearing for annexation of parcel 051 and 052?
I move to close the public hearing.
Okay. Motion by Ms. Sledge, second by Mr. Muhammad. All in favor? All right, all opposed? And that public hearing is closed. We will now, as a formality, open the second public hearing for specifically for rezoning, and that is for just that little sliver, the portion of parcel 051 and 052 that we saw located along Willow Creek Drive and addressed as 1230 Long Ferry Road. And that would be pursuant to actually annexing the property, which we'll consider next Tuesday. And so with that, we'll open the public hearing. We'll allow, if anybody else that is here with us this evening wishes to speak specifically on the rezoning, I'll remind you, that little sliver there you'll see, the majority of the property is in Spencer and is already zoned C85, which is consistent with the use that's being proposed. That small sliver is in Rowan County zoning jurisdiction. That has been coordinated between Mr. Blunt and the Rowan County Planning Department. That we would assume zoning authority over that. And if so, it's currently zoned RA according to Rowan County. So we would propose then to rezone that to C85, which is consistent with the remainder of the property in Spencer. All right, we'll open the public hearing. And if there's no one else that wishes to speak further, we will entertain a motion to close this public hearing.
Move to close.
Okay, motion by Ms. Sledge.
Second.
Second by Ms. Moody. All in favor? All right, all opposed? And that public hearing is closed. We'll now move to our third public hearing, which is a public hearing for a sign ordinance amendment along I-85.
Mayor, members of the board, I also gave you a preview of this at your last meeting. I'll run through it again for purposes of the public hearing. Our current sign ordinance does not allow large pylon signs. It also does not allow off-premises billboard signs. We have a new development out in the I-85 corridor who has requested a larger sign. And in studying our ordinance, we find we don't have anything allowed that would meet their needs. So we studied surrounding communities and what they're doing. This is Salisbury's ordinance. They actually created a corridor by definition along I-85, and then the bottom part there is the 3 intersections in Salisbury. So copying this philosophy, and this is also the part of Salisbury's, this shows that within those corridors, larger size, the taller the sign gets. The purpose of the need for the signs is visibility from I-85. These businesses depend on traffic off of 85 and they need to advertise it. When we look at the I-85 corridor, I put stars on the various properties that I thought would be interested in having this type of sign at some point in the future, including the one we just talked about. That lower right-hand star on the east side of Longs Ferry Road would be a sign for the project you just discussed. The truck stop, the one at the very bottom there is on Montclair. That's the one that contacted us initially. It's a modular home, model home sales location. And they will build 2 modular homes that will be display units, and they need a sign so people from 85 can see them. So what we've come up with is the proposed text amendment. This is a little small to read. I don't think Spencer is ready to approve off-premises billboard signs, so that's not mentioned in this ordinance at all. What this does is creates a corridor along I-85 anywhere that we have zoning jurisdiction, and then also a larger radius there at the I-85 intersection, and allows the tall pylon signs based on Salisbury's height and dimensional regulations. That's what the corridor would look like, 500 feet on either side of the I-85, and then a 1,500-foot radius around the intersection of Long Ferry and I-85. This again is a timeline. We're to the point of coming here tonight for a public hearing. The planning board has already seen this and voted unanimously to recommend approval to you, and then we'll bring it back to you next week for final discussion. Be glad to answer any questions.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Blunt. Board questions?
Would the companies putting up these signs, would they be leasing property to put up a sign? Is that?
No, it's own premises only.
On
So
premises.
it has to be on their property.
Okay, okay.
Other question? All right. Hearing none, we will officially open the public hearing for this item. And we do not have anyone signed up for this item to speak this evening. And so, board, with that, oh, you absolutely may.
You get a gold star for participation.
Do I have to do the whole thing again?
You don't,
Okay.
because we got you, and I'm just gonna put it down here.
Okay. So, is there a limit on this, if they're lit up or not? They will be allowed to be lit up. So, right over somebody's house, right there, you can have them lit all night long.
500 foot on either side.
No, I know. I'm just saying, yeah, but the property on that road going up on the side of Long Ferry, the Willow Creek Road, the houses there, are they going to look out and see that sign that you're just going to put up on that parcel?
Possible to obviously choose this building.
They're not like they have little lights. They're not the kind that like are all lit up though, right?
These will be pylon signs most likely internally lighted,
Yeah.
water known.
So similar to all of the other major intersections along 85, like
85,
76, Julian Road,
So,
those.
but I think the ones that are there now aren't lit up all the time. They just have the little lights like underneath them. Okay, I guess my concern again is it's in a neighborhood. Do we really want these signs lit up right there, right on Willow Creek? I can see it closer to Long Ferry and where Chewy is and where that gas station is going to go, but going up on Willow Creek in that neighborhood back there. I guess that's my concern. Okay. Okay, that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks for the input. All right. Board, is there a motion to close the public hearing? So moved. All right, motion by Mr. Muhammad,
Second.
second by Mayor Pro Tem. All in favor? All right, all opposed? And that public hearing is now closed. And finally, our public hearing on the Salisbury Spencer Growth Area Agreement.
We've been talking about this for, seems like 3 years. I think maybe it's just 2 years. This was initiated by Rowan County asking municipalities with adjacent ETJs to come to an agreement so that we wouldn't have any bickering in the future over who gets to annex what. We have been working with East Spencer, which was mentioned earlier, came to an agreement in principle, and then I was basically waiting on the agreement with Salisbury to be concluded so I could copy that language without us having to pay Mr. J to write that up for you. Trying to keep things under control here budget-wise. So I'll run through this very quickly. This is an overall picture of our common border, which is that black line at the bottom, and then the red line that goes vertically and then diagonally and runs all the way out to the river is our ETJ. And then the squiggly line to the north and then runs out to the west, that's Salisbury's ETJ heading in that direction. And it is contiguous, but it's a little confusing. I'll zoom in a little bit. This is starting down on Grants Creek, which is that horizontal line at the bottom, going vertically along property lines, zigging to the right on 7th Street, up a little bit, and then taking off diagonally with no rhyme or reason as to why it's doing that. Except that in the 70s when ETJs were granted, that was exactly 1 mile from our existing municipal boundaries. And somebody just took a nice protractor and went around the boundaries to draw that line. This is, again, a blow up, and you see that ziggly line on either side of Garrick Road that caused us all some heartaches as we were trying to come up with an agreement. That's what the mayor forced me to accept, Garrick Road. I wanted to go all the way over to Moxwell Avenue, but he said Garrick Road is fair. Everybody seemed to agree with that. So the dotted line is what I had suggested and what Salisbury staff agreed to in principle about a year ago. And then we were trying to figure out some way to get that into a written agreement and on paper. And to do what I wanted to do, which was swap some ETJ back and forth, would have required extensive notification, other public hearings, other complexities to make that happen. So Salisbury suggested, and we agreed, that we would do that in the future if needed, but we would go ahead and agree on the growth boundaries agreement based on that dotted line. So it would turn out looking like that. The vertical line up to 7th Street, to the right over to Garrick Road out to Ridge. Everything on the left in the rust color is Salisbury's area of growth. Even though one little corner of it is in our ETJ, everything to the east in that, I think, gray color would be in our growth boundaries, including the little zigzag portion, which is in Salisbury's ETJ. So even though we've got some crossover on the ETJ line, our written agreement and the maps that go with it will define that as our agreed to growth boundaries. This is the pretty map that Salisbury came up with, multiple colors to show various conditions, but basically it's the same thing as that, just with a lot more colors to confuse you a little bit more. So we will be bringing to you at your meeting next week an ordinance to adopt an agreement. The agreement is in your package with all the verbiage, and that map will be made a part of that agreement. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Before we get to questions, I'll provide a little more context too, having been through these discussions with Salisbury and also with the county. You know, this actually originated several years ago, probably I guess 2 years ago now, with the county, with recognizing all the growth that was happening. And the county came and sat down with the municipalities and said, y'all need to get together and determine and let's have a long-term plan for as these communities grow. How is it going to happen and where it might happen so that we can all come to an agreement with it and understand where those areas are going to be. As I mentioned earlier, Spencer's growth areas actually are pretty limited, and especially with the Salisbury agreement, it's really just cleaning up some lines that don't make sense. When you have ETJs that are running by splitting people's properties in two doesn't make a lot of sense. And so trying to get those to run along major roads makes a lot more sense. And so that was what we were trying to achieve here. I do want to make it very clear that these areas are currently in the ETJ for either Salisbury or Spencer, so they could be annexed in the future, but there are no imminent plans to do that. We've got no imminent requests to do that on these particular parcels. It's just looking at, should one of these property owners come to us in the future and ask to be annexed, they know who they come to, whether it's Spencer or Salisbury. And if they come to go to Salisbury and it's in Spencer, Salisbury is going to say, well, this is Spencer's jurisdiction. You need to go talk to them about annexation, or vice versa. So that's the intent. And it's just to document that it's a measure of goodwill and getting it in writing, how we plan to grow. Same with East Spencer, and those are really the only two municipalities that we have adjoining borders with that we have to address this with. Some of the other communities border multiple jurisdictions, and so they've got to come to multiple agreements with those. But that's kind of where we are, and so we should be able, hopefully, to get these agreements in place in relatively short order over the next few months.
And the other thing I'll mention is the Salisbury City Council has already unanimously passed in their meeting this month. They're considering the same agreement, of course. So they've already done their step. It's our turn to consider it now. And then the other thing it does is, if you'll recall, with the Hawkins Meadows process, we had to get an individual agreement in place for that because this didn't exist. So this, in a way, streamlines that up front, that we already know, as the mayor described, whose is whose, and it takes that step out of the process because we are taking care of all the possibilities now.
I remember during those talks, there were people who said they had gone to here and they said, no, it's not ours, go there. And we sent them somewhere else because we said, no, that's not ours. So this makes sense to clean it up.
Thank you, Mr. Bond. All right. The board will open this public hearing as well. We don't have anybody signed up? You sure? Okay. Thank y'all for being here tonight. We do appreciate it. All right. So, board, with no one signed up to speak on this public hearing, is there a motion to close it? So moved. Motion by Mr. Muhammad.
Second.
Second by Ms. Sledge. All in favor? All right. All opposed? And that is closed. All right. So our public hearings are closed for the evening. We will consider all of those items during our regular meeting. Consider action on those next Tuesday. All right. We will now move into review of our agenda for next Tuesday's meeting. It says call to order by me, but I will actually not be here on Tuesday. I have a work commitment that is going to have me out of town, so I will not be able to participate in that. So I was thinking that Mayor Pro Tem would be able to do that, but she has a commitment that may make her a little bit late to the meeting. So we are going to ask Ms. Sledge to
Open the meeting.
Thank you.
All right. And so then with that, is there a volunteer to do the invocation? Mr. Miller?
Did I volunteer?
Oh, I was asking.
It's my turn.
You've been voluntold.
I like the way y'all handle this.
I would do it.
Well, would you rather open the meeting than I'll do the invitation?
Okay, hold on. We do need to all right. You're not going to be here?
I have work.
Okay, I'm not going to be here. Patty,
Are we going to have
I'm
court?
late? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Are you three?
Well, I'm going to be.
Andrew, are you? I will be. Now, I feel like I shouldn't have just said that out loud though, because
I've got porta pit all day, so I don't know. I'll probably be here, but I'm wondering whether I'm going to be able to.
Are you going to be out front here?
No, I'm not going to be out front.
Mr. Mayor, I can do the invitation as well.
I'll do the invocation. Don't worry about that.
Whatever.
That means you'll be here. See?
Okay.
All right.
Maybe.
Thank you. Just make sure we're going to have a quorum.
All right, so if you don't show up, I'll pray for you. How's that?
thoughtful.
Wow. I don't know if that's good or bad.
Then what?
All right. Okay. And then we'll have an opportunity for additions or deletions to the agenda. Keep in mind, if there's anything this evening that we run across that we need to add, we can. Peter, anything that you know of offhand that needs to be added already?
No, sir.
Okay. The next item will be recognitions. Board, are there any specific recognitions that you would like to make at this month's meeting?
Let me say something about the tea party. The community garden. The community garden. Is that okay with you, Steve?
That's fine with me.
All right. Thank you. All right. We'll then open it up for public comment, and then we'll have a consent agenda. On the consent agenda, we have approval of our minutes from April 3rd and April 8th. We also then have a budget ordinance amendment for an appropriation of funds specifically for police training. And we also have a budget ordinance amendment for the Yadkin River Trailhead project. Is that still a thing? Is that still a thing?
Would you like us? Would you like?
Yeah,
us
can you
to-
give us an update on that since it is on the consent agenda?
So whenever I presented the ordinance last month, I didn't include the $2,600 check. So, and I missed one of the line items. So this is the same ordinance. It's just an update with numbers. What the numbers are updated on it. So that's what it is.
Okay.
Okay. Once we get this done, it'll be done. I promise.
All right. Board, any questions on that? Okay. All right. And then to our regular agenda items, we will consider the adoption of Ordinance 2506. That's annexation of the Willow Creek property we just had a public hearing on. And then item 9 will be a follow-up. That'll be the Ordinance 2507. We'll consider rezoning that portion of the parcel that was currently in Rowan County's planning area. And then we will have an Ordinance 25-08 to update the town's development ordinance, and that would address the I-85 corridor signs that we just had a public hearing on. And then item 11 would be Ordinance 25-09, which is Salisbury Spencer Growth Agreement, the Growth Area Agreement that we just had a public hearing on. All right, any questions on those items? All right, we'll move to item 12. That will be a budget ordinance amendment to appropriate funds for a Public Works Department wood chipper. Anything that needs to be said on that this evening?
This is one, if you would like, could be put on consent agenda. If you'd rather wait and discuss it Tuesday, we can do that too. But essentially, this is an item that was in the budget request for next year, and we identified available funding in this year's budget due to some vacant positions in Public Works that we would be able to go ahead and take care of this item now, and that's why we're requesting the budget amendment.
And given that we're trying to make sure we can maintain our budget for next year and keep it as in line with current tax rates as possible, that's probably a good recommendation. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, in reference to the current wood chipper, what are we going to do with that? Are we still going to operate that, or is that going to be surplus?
No, it would be surplus, and it is the new one is the replacement is mostly due to the age of the current one, and it's just run its course. But the new one has the new one would be safer. It's a slightly different. It's using a drum instead of discs.
Right.
Joel was able to get a demo and was very pleased with how this new one would work. But yeah, the current one is just becoming it's a little too worn out and is not really safe to keep using in its current form.
Understood. Okay. All right, board, do you want to put that on consent?
I think so. I mean,
okay. Sounds like consent agenda.
You're shaking your head no?
Okay.
Well,
Sure.
What do you
won't
think?
be offended if you want to take it off.
I don't care. Whatever y'all want to do.
what's your pleasure?
Sir?
What's your pleasure?
I'll do whatever the majority feels like.
Okay.
I mean,
That's
if-
it.
if-
Put
if
it
it's-
on consent.
Okay.
How about that?
Consent agenda. All right. Next item is another budget ordinance, and this is amendment, and it's appropriating funds for a police department golf cart. I'm guessing this is a similar situation, correct?
Yes, this was another item that was part of the budget request for next year, and there's been an opportunity that the police department has come about to purchase a new golf cart that would be available for events, for code enforcement, etc. And what this says is that the discount purchase price of the new golf cart would be just under $10,000. But there was also another discount plus a trade-in opportunity, bringing $5,000, leaving a purchase price of $3,894 for this new golf cart.
They're going to give us $5,000 for the old one that we have.
For two.
For one. Okay. We have one that was the old one, and then we have another one that was a military surplus that we got at no cost. That's able to be surplused again from us. And so 2-for-1 special for $5,000.
That's a heck of a deal there.
Started somebody getting.
All right, so my question is, if they've had two that they've been operating, is one going to be sufficient, or are they going to come back and more than us to buy another one?
We haven't been operating two. We had possession or two, and neither of them have been in good working order.
Our old one was.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw it. It was.
No, I mean, I'm just asking. I was just asking, are they going to want two again?
I do believe I recall during the planning session also that this will ease some of the issues with our overall fleet problems if code enforcement is able to do a portion of their work from a golf cart rather than needing a vehicle.
Can't get one donated. Can we get one donated?
All right. You want that to be consent agenda 2, board?
I'm gonna wait for Steve.
Steve has to decide.
Yeah, I think we need the consent agenda, please.
Okay.
Since we did the wood chipper, we might as well do the golf cart.
All right.
Thank you.
That'll be consent agenda.
Both Joel and Chief File appreciate that.
Next item would be to consider adopting the Standback Forest Center and Trails Project Ordinance 25-06. I assume we'll have Joe with us to give us an update on that. Oh, there he is. I saw you pack up your stuff. I wasn't sure what you were. Okay. Okay.
So I could just briefly let you know that the idea is we want to set up a project fund for the Standback Forest Center, which of course you've already been hearing about that through our part of application. We have already received a donation for matching funds, and so we want to, rather than have that project flow through the general fund at this point, set up a project ordinance, a project fund to manage that over the coming years as that develops.
So then, board, question here, it's an administrative action with our finance department. Is that something you want to put on the consent agenda?
I want to ask a question about that. We've received $250,000 and then another $100,000, so we have $350,000 to be put toward matching funds. If we don't get that Cardiff grant for some unknown reason, and don't put that out in the universe because I don't want that to happen, but would that $250 be enough to do the bathrooms there at the new site?
I think Joe's going to come up and address that. And what I should make sure to understand, this is a project for the Forest Center and Trails. So we actually have multiple grant projects in the works here with donations already received for both of them.
Right. And the answer to your specific question is it might. The value, the engineering or estimating costs we've done on the restroom facilities have it coming in at about $240. Of course, prices are going up and that sort of thing. The situation we have with this particular contribution is that Mr. Standback, through his donor advised fund, has directed us. Right. $250 would go toward the center and $100 toward the trails. Right. We should know about the trail project virtually any day, but I would say probably later this month, early June.
Well, we thought we were going to know.
Yeah, we thought we would know sooner, but
last week.
So we don't know yet. We have to know pretty soon. I will add that we have a contingent local match for that project that is contingent on receiving the grant. And then we have a $25,000 grant from the Carolina Thread Trail and $5,000 from Duke Energy. So we have some money if we needed to just start either of these projects.
Okay.
I think as far as the Forest Center is concerned, it would be worth it to wait if we weren't funded in this round, but to seek additional funds to do it at one time. I think that would be more economical.
Thank you.
Okay. Board, what do you want to do? Consent agenda for that one?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
That's okay.
All right. Very good. The next item would be to consider adopting ordinance 2503.01, and that is to increase the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board from 5 members to 6 members. Again, that's based on the discussion that we had last month.
Mm-hmm.
So that should be a regular agenda item. And then following that would be to consider appointing Phip Sparger as the 6th member of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. All right. Next item would be to consider authorizing the town manager to enter into a Brownfields Assessment Coalition Memorandum of Agreement with Central Carolina Regional Council and the City of Mount Holly. This is based on the EPA grant that we have gotten through Central Carolina, specifically related to the finishing company site. And so I would suggest that we keep that as a regular agenda item. Peter, let you give an update on that.
Agree.
Work. Okay. Next item would be to consider adopting Resolution 25-06 to adopt the Iredell-Rowan Regional Hazard Mitigation Plan.
This could certainly be.
I would
consent
recommend
agenda
this
item.
being put on the consent agenda. I know. I mean, the update there is that our staff has been working with this group from Iredell and Rowan County to develop a region-wide hazard mitigation plan. I will commend our staff. They were always seemed like first to get our information in when they were having to drag it out of other communities around us. And so I just appreciate, Peter, you and your staff's prompt attention to providing the information and input. Beyond that, board, I would recommend it to go on the consent agenda.
Sounds good to me.
All right. And then the next item is to consider appointing Billy Lynn Sullivan to the Historic Preservation Commission for a 4-year term. And so I assume we'll have Kyle here on Tuesday. Is that right?
I believe we will.
And that way he can make an introduction there. So board, those are the regular items. There is one additional item that I would like to bring to the attention of the board that I would request that we add to the agenda. And that is for us to adopt a resolution specifically stating our opposition to House Bill 765. And that is in relation to, it's the local government development omnibus bill that's trying to be passed. All of our neighbors around us have passed resolutions in opposition to this. This bill was brought before the House. It's been working its way through the House. I don't know, it was supposed, if it made crossover, well actually it did make crossover because they added a provision at the last moment yesterday evening that added a $5 increase in a stormwater fee in the bill. And because it is a fee associated item, they found a loophole that would allow it to miss the crossover deadline.
All you have to do is add some money to
And
it.
so because of that, now the crossover deadline doesn't matter. However, there is opposition within the House, so it may be dead anyway, but I feel like we need to stand with our neighboring communities and communities throughout North Carolina that basically are standing up and saying that, you know, as far as state legislature, there are some things that our local government is better at, and that's knowing what our communities need and what our communities want and how they want our communities to be developed. And so this bill 3 of the 5 sponsors, sponsor and co-sponsors, are either general contractors or private developers. And so a little bit of home cooking going on, obviously. And what it does is it will severely limit our ability as local municipalities to control the development process and development standards and things like that. It's being sold as an affordable housing bill, but in reality, that's not what it is. What it is, at least in my opinion, is it is a bill that's only going to pad the pockets of developers in North Carolina. We've got some really good developers that we've been working with, and you know, we've been lucky to work with them. What this bill would do would potentially open development up as a free-for-all throughout North Carolina, where we have no say in what's developed in our community. And so even those folks, those local developers that we work so well with, they would be at risk and at jeopardy of larger national developers coming in and doing whatever they want. So, sheesh. Steve provided a memorandum for us. You know, a lot of the things that this bill is proposing, we already do as good practice anyway. It's the things that are in there. There are a few things there that aren't concerning, and really a lot of it is on principle. That it's the state government trying to take away our local control of how our communities develop. My biggest thing is each of our communities in North Carolina is different, and we're unique for a reason. And the reason we're unique are because the people that live in our communities, and those are the people that have shaped our communities, those are the people that have spoken as to what they want their communities to look like. They're also the people that have elected their local officials to help shape those communities, not state legislators in Raleigh. And so with that, I would like for us to, there is a standard resolution that's been circulating amongst our mayors in boards in Rowan County. I would like to see us add that to the agenda for the board's adoption so that we can provide that to our legislators so that they know where we stand. Board agreeable to that?
Yes.
Okay.
So where do you want to add that?
I would like to do it earlier in the agenda if possible.
Go right after consent if you like.
I was actually going to suggest that we do it right after consent and right before we do the annexation, because it makes a point that we should be able to control those things and be able to control our destiny. Okay, so we'll add that as item 8. And do y'all have the information that you need?
I was going to ask Anna if Anna does not have that draft yet, then that we'll need.
Let me know. I can provide it. You don't?
If you don't mind.
Okay, I'll make a note. Yep. Good. All right, board. That is all the action items for the agenda. We'll have our departmental reports and then our town manager report. Yes.
On the departmental reports, Heather's going to be on vacation next week. And so,
it's not allowed.
Right.
Nice.
So
nice.
she
Are you
wanted
going somewhere special? I can go along.
she wanted to see if you would like to, hear from her this evening, since you won't be here next week, related to the departmental report.
Sure.
I tried to, on our cover sheet, I tried to change things up a little bit, just so that you could kind of see where our revenues versus budget, where it sits at this moment, or at the reporting time, which is April 29th. So you'll see where our revenues and expenditures, the budget, the encumbered and activity, and the variance, whereas we are $274,000, where our revenues are higher than our expenditures at this moment. Okay, I did that, and then sales and use taxes, one of those things that we always, what's going on with it, where are we at with it? So I took it hasn't posted because it hasn't hit the bank. So I just kind of made a brief little chart here of our total payments for FY25 compared to FY24 at this time. And at the same time frame, we're about 3.3% over last year. However, with that being said, right about now is whenever we had that dip last year. So what I did with that is I went and estimated if we just went flat with our sales and use tax from this point to the end of the year. And I want to say there was about a $25,000 difference in the negative with that. So last year, at the end of the year, we were $91,000 short. This year, if we're flat, we are $26,000 short as of our May distribution. So I wanted to, just point that out.
But so far, the trend, I think, except for 1 month, has not been.
Right.
It's been more of a positive trend overall
Right.
so far.
The trend overall for the whole year has been in a positive manner, except for the April distribution. May looks to be right about where we were before. So hopefully it was just that 1 month of a dip, and we'll be back to gaining a little bit, and the difference won't be that much. But I am keeping an eye on it, and I'm just going to keep this chart in my report so that you guys can see it, and it's right there.
Do we have a copy of it?
Yeah, it's the little chart. It should be on the front page of my.
It may have not made it in this packet, but we
May
can get
not
it.
have.
No,
It's
it's
not.
not.
No problem.
We can
That's
get it
fine.
in there for
Yeah.
Tuesdays.
Okay.
There you go. I'll do that.
All right.
And as far as the budget analysis worksheet, I basically made it's about the same notes that were on there. We did receive our CDBG grant reimbursement for that. There was a correction of $13,000. The first distribution went to a different project, so I had to make that journal entry. So that's where you see a negative amount in activity month to date on that fund, which that fund is number 96. That's your last page. There's really nothing else that stands out in my eyes for you guys to notice, and whatever was there, I did make notes on it. I know you just got it today. I will be on Zoom, so if you get to looking over it or whatever and you have questions, I'll be on Zoom Tuesday. But I wanted to let you guys know.
Any more guidance from the league on sales and tax revenue for next year?
It's not a positive note, but then again, it was the same negative note for this year, and I think we've done pretty well with what we have budgeted, which we were looking at that again tonight right before the meeting, and I think we were just last year we were at 2% that we budgeted, 2% over actual, and we're right about there, and we were just looking very conservative and doing 1% with the new budget. So.
At one point, we weren't sure whether we were getting that those auto taxes from the state. Have we found out about that?
They're slowly trickling in, and we found out that it's because auto tax. Whenever you register your vehicle,
Right.
It's different times throughout the year,
Right.
and that's when they come in. So it's just basically because we just implemented it last year. It's just we're playing catch up this first year.
So there, I think part of it was that for the first time there's a lag because
Right.
We're ready to go July 1.
They can't implement it until you have to renew your registrations. I just got mine and it was on.
Yeah, it was on my. I've got mine.
Right.
There were likely 3 months of notices that went out that we would have liked to have captured it, and it was we had to play catch up. So that's where that difference. We don't think that'll happen next year.
But you think we are getting it, though?
Yeah. Oh, we're definitely getting it.
We are definitely getting
Okay,
it. Yes.
okay.
That's one thing I do make sure every month whenever it comes in.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy your vacation.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
All right. For the only other thing, and I sent it to you, I was delinquent in getting out our manager's review template. Some of you have already completed it. Mayor Pro Tem, you get the gold star.
I did.
All
I
right.
thought I deleted it.
So I do need to brag on her, right? Because she's the first one to get it done, and it's an online assessment.
I looked at it.
I am very, very impressed and very, very happy.
Tell them about the part I freaked out because I thought I deleted
You
it.
thought you deleted
And
it
I
all?
started to do it
I
all
did.
over again yesterday, but I waited till I heard from him. He said, yes, I thought it.
Anyway, so what I would ask, since I did get that out late, is that you try and complete all of that by Tuesday. Online, you should have an email with the link to where you can access that. But please complete that by Tuesday, and then what I will do following Tuesday is compile all that information. We intend on Tuesday that rather than adjourning our meeting, we will recess our meeting.
So
Correct.
that was gonna be my recommendation till Thursday the 22nd.
Yeah. So Thursday, the 22nd, we have proposed as having basically recessing our meeting and then reconvening on Thursday, the 22nd, in order to review our budget. There's still some things that Peter and staff are working through to finalize the initial budget recommendation. And so they're going to need that time to be able to get all that information together for us, and then we can have budget presentation on the 22nd.
6 o'clock.
Whatever time you like, 5:30, 6, 8:15, you name it.
In the morning?
I'd say,
So May the 22nd. What's the pleasure of the board?
6 o'clock.
Okay.
That gives Mr. Howell time to get here, and that gives you time to go here. That's fine.
So we will plan then to conduct the review on the 22nd.
Will that be a meeting just for that purpose, or will we have other?
so
We're going to recess our meeting, right? So technically,
We finished
The
it
same
up.
one.
we're just, it's a continuation of our regular meeting. So it's not considered a special meeting, it's a continuation.
but when we publish the agenda for next week, it'll list that it'll be recessed to the 22nd,
Until
and
what?
then there'll be
Until the
two
date.
items listed: one, the budget recommendation, and two, closed
Okay.
session.
Okay.
So that will be the plan. So, Ms. Sledge, if you're facilitating the whole meeting on Tuesday, just remember to recess. And if you end up taking over when you get here,
If she wants to do it, that's fine with me.
I
She
don't-
knows it is.
I don't think I said I wanted to do it, but I will. I was just trying to think. It seems like there's something else on the 22nd that I've got, but I don't know what it is. It's not on the calendar, so I guess it doesn't matter.
Okay. Anything else, board?
It's PM, not AM.
So don't come at 6 a.m.
Pat, anything else on your list?
I don't think so. Well, I have a couple of things just to mention to Anna.
Okay.
Some questions and about typo. So anyway,
Okay.
but I don't need to discuss that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Peter, anything else?
No, other than this time of year, we have celebrations for our staff of various things, and I'll talk more about that on Tuesday. But it is Clerks Week this week, which was proclaimed last month. So I'll say it again next week. But our clerk's been wearing extra hats all month long. Thank you, Anna.
I wondered if we were overloading her. Do we need an assistant to the clerk?
Well, thank y'all for all of y'all are doing. I know it's a busy time of year, so, and I know you're busy too. All right. Board, that's it for this evening. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Motion by Mr. Muhammad,
Second.
Second by Mayor Pro Tem, all in favor? All right. All opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.